In Dominica, there is an extraordinary doctor. And all no products China girl. Hey, this is Sai, and you're watching SAT TV. Big up SAT, big up SAT, big up SAT.
Yo, gang to the Zilla, you're watching SAT Telecom, the people them try, see that, Rasta.
Good evening, I am Shana Esprit and I am your presenter for today. Thank you for joining us for SAT TV News. Among the major developments, Dominica State College receives computer donation, Antigua and Barbuda to pursue trade sanctions against US, Egypt's army chief warns of state collapse amid crisis, and in sports, P.R.O Miss Windy's warm-up match in Prime Minister's 11. Details of these stories after the break.
It's only when we unite as one, then a lot more thing can be done. Stop this useless fight down, killing out your own brother man. Time we rise and all realize we have an enemy in disguise, standing right in the mix of you. Got to know who is who. This is Derek Peters and you're watching SAT TV. That's what I have, SAT TV. SAT TV, that's the way to go. Rah! To the world. Ooh did he, ooh did he, ooh did he.
Thank you for staying with us. Now for the details of the news. The Dominica Arts and Craft Producers Association, DACPA, in collaboration with Dominica Manufacturers Association, are pleased to announce the introduction of the Buy Dominica Carnival Extravaganza. President of DACPA, Mr. Francis Richard, says this was done based on the feedback from the public following their 2012 Buy Christmas Extravaganza. Mr. Richard stated, this will showcase the arts and craft and manufactured products of Dominicans and visitors alike.
The focus on the initiative will be items made in Dominica, made by Dominica, authentic, 100% Dominican. That's going to be the focus. So it means that any item that is going to be on sale here, and the emphasis on sale here, either from the craft industry side or from the Dominica manufacturers side, are locally produced.
Public Relations Officers of the Dominica Manufacturers Association, Mr. Severin McKenzie, stated, this initiative will be beneficial for all as the arts and craft producers will sell products while jobs will be created. Mr. McKenzie pointed out that this will also serve as a means for Dominicans to appreciate the local things we produced. Saying that the two-day 2012 Buy Dominica Christmas Extravaganza had to be extended to a third day due to popular demand, he is of the view that the public was impressed by the high quality of products made locally.
The manufacturers in Dominica and the arts and craft producers are not seasonal producers. For most of the manufacturers, if not all the manufacturers, are in fact producing 365, and when it's a leap year, 366 days a year. So to organize these activities occasionally, it's not the intention. The intention is one of those days, Dominicans will be able to enter some spot, maybe here in the Roseau Market, any day of the week throughout the year to be able to purchase Dominican products.
He said, we should always support local and be proud of what we produce rather than Dominican products being placed at the bottom of the shelves in stores, while the foreign items are placed on top. Mr. McKenzie said the timing is perfect, as many visitors for the carnival season will be looking to purchase new items for when they return to their native country. He is urging the public to support this idea so we can stimulate our local economy and circulate the money in Dominica.
Radio programs. We are looking forward to the day when we will have a Dominican supermarket, where Dominicans can come to a supermarket, maybe right here in the Roseau Market, and buy Dominican products. just as they go in the other supermarkets and buy the foreign goods. This is what we are hoping to achieve one of those days, that people can, with no reservations, to feel that it is only because of their patriotic obligation that they are helping, but they will know that the products that we are producing in Dominica are up to standard, the quality is good, and the price is good, and then when we buy Dominican, we are also helping the economy and the employment situation as a whole.
Roseau Market Superintendent Mr. Julius Carbon revealed that he has been working with local manufacturers for some time to make use of the available space at the market. With the Buy Dominica extravaganzas utilizing this space, he stated the public response has been encouraging, especially as many were not aware of the wide variety of products that are produced locally. The Dominica Carnival extravaganza will take place on February 6th to the 9th and the 13th in the covered section of the new Roseau Market. In other news, the Independent Regulatory Commissioner, Dr. Eisenhower Douglas, said the IRC is designated by law to issue DOMLEC with a new license in order to continue its operations in Dominica on January 1st, 2016. He further explained that the purpose of this consultation is to advance the process towards the issuance of the new license, which expires on December 31st, 2015. Dr. Eisenhower believes that the Electricity Supplies Act No. 10 of 2006 is the act which gave birth to the IRC. He spoke of the hurdles that the Commission was faced with and said that he is pleased with the evolution that has taken place over the years.
Opportunity to represent that ministry on a task force chaired by the then permanent secretary, I believe it was Ms. Powell, at the time, Ministry of Communication and Works. It was that ministry which had oversight responsibility within its portfolio for DOMLEC. In retrospect, and they say we have 20/20 vision in hindsight, in retrospect, I am indeed pleased with the evolution that has taken place over the years, from the rather humble beginnings in 2003 on to January 27, 2007, when the ESA was signed into law by His Excellency the President of the Commonwealth of Dominica. And subsequent to that, the IRC office was established with its own staff as its present location on 42 Cock Street, Roseau. Now, among OECS countries,
the Electrical Supply Act, ESA, poses a legal obligation on the IRC to ensure security and efficiency to supply electricity in Dominica. The IRC has a duty of care to DOMLEC as well as consumers of electricity in order to create a balance. Dr. Eisenhower urges consumers to participate fully in the deliberations, which will be held in Portsmouth on January 29, 2013, Marigot on February 19, 2013, and Grand Bay on February 26, 2013. He says electricity is a form of energy and a crucial input into the process of economic growth and wealth creation.
Protect the interests of all classes of consumers, as well as ensure the financial viability and efficiency of entities engaged in the electricity supply function. Now, what this means is that the IRC has a duty.
The General Manager of DOMLEC, Mr. Colin Cover, gave a different perspective in matters of the IRC. He spoke of the principles of regulation, and the three foundational pillars are transparency, independence, being free from political interference and acting in the realm of the law, and being impartial. He says regulation is necessary to set a level playing field for all persons and parties and prevent monopoly from abusing positions on the market. Mr. Cover mentioned briefly that DOMLEC is being offered 2 licenses for transmission and distribution and a generation license.
The regulator must be independent, free from political interference. The regulator is supposed to carry out the established laws of the country. They're only supposed to act in the realm, and I think Dr. Douglas mentioned that today, in the realm of the law, nothing outside the law. He cannot act, and well, I think this is going to happen. Next 5 years, the government is going to pass a law saying this. He has to act on the laws of today. And why do we have regulation? And again, I'll just very broadly touch on that. Regulation is there because it prevents monopolists from abusing their positions as the dominant person in the market. That's one.
Mr. Nasper Kasky, Executive Director of the IRC, reiterated on transparency and consultation as part of the rules of the IRC to ensure that stakeholders are informed and consulted. He provided an overview on the sections 18, 19, 20, and 21 of the Act, established the independence, reach, and duties of the IRC. The ESA says the term of generation license must be tied to the existing file of the generation facilities. The Commission believes the Act did not anticipate that there would be one license. Mr. Kasky made a valid point when he says that investors wish to be adequately assured of recovering their investment over a real estate period of years. He then asked that the period for the duration of the generation license be for a minimum of 25 years. In other news, the new ownership of the company Nature's Water was officially introduced to the public on Monday, January 28th. Managing Director of Nature's Water, Mr. Frederick Barron, explained that Dominica, the nature island of the Caribbean, is renowned for its abundant water, wilderness, and natural beauty. Mr. Barron emphasized how purified the water is, and it is also ideal for both the aged as well as the young. He says so far they only have 9 employees. However, they are looking for a salesperson to make it 10. When asked about the equipment used for the packaging of the product, Mr. Barron had this to say.
We have already enhanced what they had. They had equipment that they were not using, and we intend to bring in additional equipment for the spring water bottling operation and for the other products that we expect to put on the market before the end of the year.
But when did the operation start officially under the Barron?
Officially, the operation started on January 1st, 2013, but we took over, we purchased the plant on the 17th of November.
Although the plant was on sale for $1.2 million, Mr. Barron said they spent less than the original price. He described how the water looks when it comes into their tanks, what it contains, and the process to transform it to the final product, which is the purified water.
When the water comes in, it has a certain consistency. You can see it in the tanks, how it looks, and the final product, which is the purified product, is totally different and clear. So we use the Doasco water to do the purified one. We're going to be doing, by end of March, early April, the spring water, Poncase Spring, because we have to bring in a transporter to transport the spring water. And then later on in the year, we intend to come up with a new product targeting the health market and the schools. But it would be water with a difference, water with a catch, water that you will enjoy.
The company currently uses quality Dominican water that is purified. He noted, in many countries, most people have difficulties with drinking the tap water. However, our tap water is potable.
But guess what? We improve the quality 100-fold. We do a complete reverse osmosis process of the water that and you saw you were on the tour, right? You saw the difference in what we had in one tank as opposed to the purified tank. And you felt comfortable that the purified water is at the next level.
I saw it, yeah.
Right. So essentially we purify the water to the point where it is as pure as any water anywhere on earth. And as you heard the chairman say, we are not only targeting Dominica, we're targeting the regional and the international market.
The company's recommended retail price of the water is $1.75 per bottle, which allegedly is the cheapest on the market, and the 5-gallon bottle still remains at $15. The enterprise hopes to be able to export within a month to the entire Northern Caribbean market. Mr. Barron says the first aim is to supply their product to all the wholesale businesses locally. In other news, in life, we all have to give to receive, and this is exactly what one Dominican couple did when they donated over $200,000 worth of information technology equipment to the government of Dominica and the Dominica State College. The generous donation was made possible by Mr. and Mrs. Hendricks Ismail on Tuesday, January 29, 2013. The president of the Dominica State College, Dr. Donald Peters, stated that they were lacking computers in their information technology room. Mr. Ismail heard their plea and immediately started negotiating with Dell to secure computers for the donation. With this effort, 400 refurbished and remodeled desktop computers were handed over, which 100 went to the DSC, while 300 went to the government to be distributed to schools island-wide.
We hear a lot of complaints about what is wrong with Dominica and Dominica State College, but no one volunteers to help. Mr. Ishmael have created history. He didn't talk, he just did. It's like Nike, just do it. So he decided to make the donation, and he and his wife traveled down here with us so he can make the donation personally. The Prime Minister was grateful enough to take time from Cabinet to show you how important this is and to come to help receive the gift.
Mr. Hendrik Ismail, the donor of the equipment, stated that he heard many people complain about Dominica, but do nothing about it. However, rather than doing the same, he decided to take action. He said he was also inspired by the development the government of Dominica has been making, with one being the strong emphasis on education.
We want to express our appreciation to two men in Dominica who seem deeply committed to providing opportunities for our children to be educated and compete at the international level. Those two are Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit and current President of the State College, Dr. Donald Peters, who as a Dominican has continued to find millions of dollars in the U.S. to help give our students higher education opportunities at universities in the U.S. And PM Skerrit, whose policy on one college graduate per household by 2015 is a monumental example of both bold and committed leadership.
Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit stated that this donation is much appreciated and will be put to good use. He said the diasporas are and should be seen as a valuable and important element to our development. He reminded the students that they must value their education they are receiving at the DSC, as in many other countries more fortunate than Dominica, there are students with no access to primary education. Mr. Skerrit said, we as Dominicans need to unite to work towards the development of our country. He also urged the students of the DSC to study their books, to do well, and stay away from drugs and deviant behavior, which will lead down a path of destruction.
At a time when we talk about globalization, when the world is your marketplace, and Dominica is in fact part of that marketplace, which means that anybody from any part of the world can apply and compete with you for jobs inside Dominica. And you likewise can compete for jobs anywhere in the Caribbean, anywhere in the world. And therefore, for us to be able to take advantage of the jobs that we have in Dominica, we must be qualified and equipped to take advantage of those jobs. And if we're to take jobs overseas, as we've seen in the person of Dr. Carissa Etienne, being now the director of the Pan American Health Organization, we have to prepare ourselves to take advantage of the increasing opportunities for young people.
He added, we as a country must set goals and high standards for ourselves. Mr. Skerrit pointed out that attending the DSC is still cost-effective as a cost to do the same. Degrees abroad is much more expensive, so we must take full advantage of it. Mr. and Mrs. Hendricks Ismail also donated 30 laptops and 20 printers along with their desktop computer donations. In more news, Vince Henderson, the new permanent representative of Dominica to the United Nations, has informed SAT TV News of the various aspects which his job entails. Many people believe that being the permanent representative of Dominica to the United Nations means to represent his country and the country's interest. However, the job varies based on which mission he represents. Mr. Henderson explained that some ambassadors may only attend large functions, whereas he tries to be present at almost every function.
But for us with small missions, we go to almost every event, committee meetings, sometimes at various levels. Again, it depends on the issue. What we have sought to do in Dominica's case is to define and refine our foreign policy in such a way that we can navigate through the maze of the UN. It's a huge institution, through various departments, committees, and there's always something happening. And in order to have an effective representation, one therefore needs to prioritize and determine what is relevant to Dominica's development and therefore pursue it. One of the ways that you can do that is by knowing who our friends are, knowing what it is that we're pursuing in the international community.
During an address to UN's 67th General Assembly, Mr. Henderson said Dominica is committed to the initial ethics of environmental sustainability. He added, "This is clearly demonstrated by our Nature Isle approach to sustainable development and our use of natural resources, blessing our citizens with the most beautiful place on earth to call home." Mr. Henderson says in 2011, he was elected by his colleagues to serve as the chairman of a committee of an institution which was just being created by small developing states.
That institution effectively deals with the issue of renewable energy and energy efficiency for small island developing states. To date, we have 30 members. Out of the 43 small island developing states at the United Nations, 30 have joined. We have been able to, so far, been assisted by the government of Denmark, provided about $15 million to that facility, which we have allocated to our members, Dominica included. Dominica got the first tranche of $250,000 and we're hoping that we will get some more benefits. We have members in the Pacific, we have members in the Indian Ocean, and of course members in the Caribbean.
He explains that renewable energy is and always has been a priority for Dominica, and this is why he has spent a lot of his time in this particular area. Mr. Henderson said any one of us would raise the same concerns as the people from Trafalgar if the geothermal project was taking place in our neighborhood.
And we know the whole not in my neighborhood, sort of thing, is something that is common all over the world. We need a nuclear power plant, but where should we put it? Not in my neighborhood. So we know that kind of stuff. Even in the case of exploration of oil and natural gas, there have been concerns of fracking, the major pipeline, the Keystone pipeline from Canada down to the US. It was blocked because some people felt it should not pass in their neighborhoods. So the world over, people have always raised those concerns, and it is natural human reaction, and therefore I do not fault the people of the valley for that. I think they have every right to raise concerns. What I think we must bear in mind is that if there are concerns raised and we really want to get answers, we must be willing to listen. We must be willing to participate. It's not for civic exercise. It's a citizen participation system where the government listens, the government responds, and people, reasonable people, will agree and sometimes disagree on a few items, but generally with an intention of resolving the issues. So I am very happy with the way the government has to date responded to this issue.
According to Mr. Henderson, Dominica continues to pursue its geothermal resource potential, which he said will allow the island to move away from the generation of electricity from fossil fuels within the next 5 years and reduce the cost of electricity. And the last in tonight's local segment, the semi-final was a night of fierce competition at the Newtown Savannah on Saturday, January 26, 2013, where 9 Calypsonians were given the nod to face King Dice at the Calypso Finals, which will take place on Saturday, February 9th, 2013 at Carnival City. They are Caressa, Ghetto Prince, Black Diamond, D-Rose, Daddy Chess, Bob Webb, Raskelly, and Hunter.
No one can contest. Accommodation must be the best. Just ensure your soul is blessed. If life have you stressed and you want to rest, find a bed by the princess. Did that day die die?
Newcomer to to the finals, Ghetto Prince put on a very passionate performance for his song entitled Prison Blues.
I see many who playing bad, and when they reach up there in the yard, they aimlessly walk in the place in blue, because there's no one to care about you. Rice and pigment every day, you can never blame the Rasta in there. Chains all on your hands and feet, it's only you feel it, really knows it. All because you have strayed from the values your parents gave. When temptation came, you failed to walk away. Too late, you learned that crime doesn't pay.
Black Diamond certainly did not make any mistake this year, earning his spot in the finals with a smooth performance of his song entitled Asking. The song highlights the rough behind-the-scenes of unfair judging aspects of Calypso and how it is very difficult to win the national Calypso competition while asking if he is too young to do so.
For Diamond Crown, to them commentators who are the show, choosing monarch before the judges know. No matter who you favor, no matter who you bigger, tell me why I can't be the cream of the crop. Cause that Calypso competition is a vicious cycle. It's a lot of trouble to get in the winner's circle. Radio, newspaper, commentary, I call in on you, don't forget me. I cannot be wrong for wanting to wear the crown. If I sing my song in the competition, not that I misbehaving, just a question I asking. Do you want the Black Diamond asking? Do you want the Black Diamond fucking? Give me.
The Rose had the crowd's full participation as they held candles up high during the performance for his song entitled Bayo Babalen. This controversial song highlights the injustice done to former Chief Magistrate Glensworth Emmanuel, whose home was firebombed on Christmas Day 2010.
So man, don't let them kill you like the woman in Zero there. Bayo Babalen, Emmanuel, Bayo Babalen, Bayo Babalen, Emmanuel, Bayo Babalen, Bayo Babalen, Emmanuel, Bayo Babalen, Bayo Babalen, Emmanuel, Bayo Babalen. Who commits the crime? They have to do the time. You know justice delayed. It's justice denied. Bayo Babalen, Emmanuel, Bayo Babalen, Bayo Babalen, Emmanuel, Bayo Babalen.
Although an individual confessed to the crime in full detail, the police chief at the time, Cyril Carrette, did not acknowledge the confession as the individual is a well-known criminal. Scrunter did not get the crowd's approval as his song entitled Fay Follow, as he was booed from the start to the end of his performance. He was not appreciated as his song blamed Mr. Emmanuel for this firebombing of his home.
Boy, somebody must know something. The truth will come back in the light. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
The crowd response following his performance clearly indicates that Scrunter should respect his elders. None of the three females who took part in the semi-final were able to make it into this year's Calypso final competition. They are Electra, Rachel, and Lady Star. Scrunter, Checker, Soul, Poos, Jammer B, Psy, Benno, Shadow Flow, and Explosion did not make it through. King Dice, who has won the competition 5 times, will be seeking to win again this year.
Politicians, by historians, we see it right there in our time. Calypso come to tell the truth. No more lies and no more crooks. And when the storm is over, everyone must get their dues. So don't forget to remember the patriots. Historians, they just lie a lot. Don't forget the farmers and the callers who never sold out the people's cause. The women, remember them who took a stand. The talk show hosts, all those who spoke.
This has been the local segment of the news. Coming up next, regional highlights.